Welcome, everybody. My name is Justin Juarez, and I'm excited to be with you to go over our MAPS holiday call, recruiting indies through mergers and acquisitions. So I'm very excited to be chatting with you guys today for the next 30 minutes, give or take. I'm going to be sharing with you some things that have worked well for me. I have the privilege to know many of you, and for those of you I may not have met yet, I've actually have been in the team leader role and am still currently in the team leader role for the past 8 years. I've been in real estate for 24 years, and I've been with Keller Williams for just going on 9 years now. I've been a black belt team leader with 120 plus gross for 8 years in a row, and my market center has been the #1 franchise in our region for the past 6 years in a row. And throughout my career, I've also have had the opportunity to become a market center investor in a couple of different market centers in Colorado. I'm also a leadership MAPS coach. I currently coach team leaders, OPs, and productivity coaches. So I'm going to share with you guys today some of the things that I found really just by failing forward. Throughout my career as a team leader, I brought in probably about 8 indies. In fact, when I joined Keller Williams 9 years ago, I was an indie that was recruited to Keller Williams. And the short story of Keller Williams has changed my life for the better. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have a lot of information to cover in a short period of time. There will be some time at the end for questions. So if you have anything, feel free to write it down, and I'm happy to answer as much as I can on the call today. I will also share my contact information with you. So if you wanted to reach out to me or if you need any follow-up, I'm happy to do that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We also have Madeline with MAPS on our Zoom as well. She's going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have a question or have any issues, feel free to type it in there, and she'll be sure to keep me on track, or we can answer those questions at the end as well. So as I mentioned today, I'm going to be talking about recruiting teams and indies through mergers and acquisitions. Let's get started. Today, we're going to go through a couple of different things. We're going to talk about how to identify and engage with your prospects. We're going to talk about how to build strong relationships. I'm going to share with you some of the best practices that I've been able to uncover through the recruiting process. We're also going to share a couple of different sample economic models. We're going to talk about transition plans and the onboarding process. Now, my disclaimer up front is there's really no right or wrong way to do it. I know there's a lot of different ways to put these types of partnerships together. So I'm going to share with you what works for me, but the disclaimer is everything we talk about is going to be pending your OP approval, maybe even your regional director approval, and this is just going to be based on some samples. All right, let's kick it off. The first thing we want to do is identify who our indie partners are, who our indie brokerages are. Now, I know throughout the country, most people have access to broker metrics. And in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to identify all of the available indies in your area. Now, some of you who may have been in the role for a while, you may already know of other brokerages you want to approach, and that's awesome. But in the event you don't have a list, Broker Metrics is a great tool to use. So I want to ask that all of you guys take a quick screenshot of this, and then I'm going to walk you through how to do it real quick. So I'll give you about 10 seconds just to take a screenshot. Awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Let me share it again. Desktop. Madeline, are you seeing my broker metric screen out? Give me a thumbs up if you guys see broker metrics on the screen. Awesome. Thank you for that. So once you log into broker metrics, the first thing you want to do is click on proficiency metrics. And then from here, you're going to click office search. Under MLS, you're going to select the MLS that you want to select. Then from here, you're going to put in your criteria, whether it's your city, your county, or your zip code. I'm in downtown Denver, Colorado, so I'm going to use 80204 as my zip code. And then I'm going to click search. And for those of you who have used Broker Metrics on Zoom, you know there's always a delay. Okay, looks like we got it here. So from here, I'm going to select my entire list. And then I'm going to unselect the other Keller Williams offices. And then from there, I now have my list of independent brokers. Now you can click the search bar and it's going to pull it all up. But now with this, here comes your detective work, right? You may log into the Real Estate Commission website and you can find out who the employing broker is or find out who your point of contact is. But as you can see, it's fairly simple to identify all the indies in your specific area, right? So, all right, now that we got that covered, let's go ahead and get back to the PowerPoint presentation. So the first thing we want to do, again, as we go through the proficiency metrics, I walked you through that. You now have your list, right? So from there, now we have to start engaging in a conversation. Now, one of the things that's worked best for me in recruiting cappers, recruiting indies, are really just getting into relationship, is just coming from contribution. I use something called a business collaboration script. And again, there's multiple ways to do it. For me, this is what I found that has the most success. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. This will also be recorded and shared with you as well. Now, as you know, anytime we're making calls, we always have to do it in a TCPA compliant way. You guys are all in leadership. You know what that means. But very simply, I'm going to run you through my script. Hi. This is Justin with Keller Williams Realty Downtown. Thank you so much for taking my call. Now, as you can see, no pause, you go straight into the script. The reason for my call today is I currently run the Keller Williams Realty Downtown office, and I know you run the ABC brokerage. And I love connecting with other employing brokers, really just to talk shop. One, it gives me a perspective outside of KW. And because it's a collaboration, I'm an open book on the things we're teaching our agents to have success, right? Are you available at this time or this time, right? Now, sometimes you're going to get, I'm not interested. I don't want to be recruited. And again, my follow-up is I completely understand this is not a recruiting call. As mentioned, I love connecting with other employing brokers because it gives me a perspective outside of KW. Now, what I want to share with you is this script works. As I shared with you at the beginning of the call, I've been in this role for 8 years. I've used almost every type of script out there, the very direct, the indirect. For me personally, this has been gold. Now, you can tweak it, make it yours, but you're coming from contribution because you're just collaborating. Now, when you do have an opportunity to meet with them, you're going to focus on building a strong relationship. And always come from contribution, come from curiosity. And when I meet with people, I don't even talk about Keller Williams, right? Because really we're there just to build a relationship. By the way, when we're recruiting productive agents, cappers, it's all about just getting to know them and building rapport. So very simply, I have developed something that I like to use is a 10-question needs analysis. Now, these are the top 10 questions that work for me. Feel free to take a screenshot. I know there's lists out there with 27 different questions. You may have your own. These 10 work for me. And it's very simple. Very simply, when I first sit down with an individual, it's tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in real estate? What caused you to open your own brokerage? And you just listen, right? What's your goal for your brokerage that you wanted to accomplish this year? Why was that important to you, right? Now, remember, anytime we're asking questions, it's always important to go deep. I like to use the simple method, why, what, why, what? When you say, what's your goal this year? They may give you an answer. Why is that important to you? What will that do for you? Why is that important to you? And ultimately, what will that do for you? That's a very simple method just to go deep. You're going to peel that onion. And a lot of times you're going to get a lot more of an honest answer by asking the same question over just differently to really understand what their motivation is, right? One of my great questions, and I just realized that formatting, those numbers on the left are incorrect. So I apologize about that. But the next question is, what are you doing today to help get your agents into production? What is your best sources of business today? Right? The next question is, do you have a database? Do you have a brokerage database? Right? If yes, how big is it? If no, if you had to put together a list, what number comes to mind? Now, we know this because by understanding these questions, you're identifying how they're running their business, if they're running a database, if they're just, universe, send me a deal, let's see how much my phone rings, if they're actually intentional with their lead generation. Here's my favorite question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you had to hit the reset button and rebuild it from scratch, or 10, you reached your full potential, where would you rate your brokerage today? Then the next question is, what is something you're missing, or what is something you need more of to take it from a blank to a blank? Now, this is important because this is their pain point. Anything they give you now, that's their pain points. What happens if nothing changes? Would you still be able to hit your goal? If you keep doing what you're doing, is that going to get you on pace to reach your ultimate goal? And my favorite question as you wrap up, if there was a way that you can learn a simple system that would allow you to hit your goal, and you could even do it at your current brokerage now, or if there was a way that you can learn a simple system to help your agents get into production and hit their goals, and you could do it at your current brokerage, would you be open to learning it? 9 out of 10 people are going to say yes to this question. And from there, you say, great, well, I don't have time to get in that today, but let's set a follow-up meeting. By the way, this first 10 question needs analysis, sometimes I do this in 15 minutes. See, when I make the call and I say, hey, I love collaborating with other brokers, are you open to jump on a Zoom? Then I schedule a Zoom meeting with them. Most people aren't always willing to meet with you in person. Some are, some aren't. For me, I found that Zoom is a great icebreaker because it's easy just to jump on. By asking somebody these questions, you're being intentional. You've identified what's working. You identified challenges and opportunities, what their pain points are, and then you're giving them a potential solution. Now they're more willing to meet in person. Now is an opportunity for you to get together with them. And for me, what I always do is I always start with the economic model, the lead generation model, and I just walk them through what it looks like on building a business using a database. Right? We know that when an agent is using a database, using a very specific touch system, like mentioned in the MREA book, they're going to average a 6.375% return on average, assuming they're dripping on that database, using that system for at least 12 months. 9 times out of 10, when they have a database, they're not getting that return. So the way you show them how they could implement that system is just being intentional using the touch system. Now, by asking these questions, I walk them through a very simple model, and many of you guys are going to recognize this model. This is called the 4 quadrants: positive present, negative future, and positive future. Right? And it goes counterclockwise. See, when I say, what's your goal? Why is that important to you? That's their positive future. When I say what's working for you now, how are you generating business? That's their positive present. When I say on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your business? What are you missing? What do you need more of to take it from a blank to a blank? That's their negative present. And when I say, what happens if nothing changes? How does that help you hit your goal? That's the negative future. And then I say, if I can show you how to get from a blank to a blank, and you can do it at your current brokerage, and we can help you get to your why, that brings them back up to the positive future. So this is very simply walking them through this proven model that's going to help somebody psychologically understand where they're at, what their pain point is, what happens if nothing changes, and how to get to their goal. By the way, am I going too fast or going too slow? I know I talk fast. Hopefully you guys are keeping up, and we will have some Q&A here shortly. Now, when you meet with them, the first couple of meetings is all about building the relationship, right? Imagine you walked into a doctor's office. You scheduled a doctor's appointment, and the doctor walked in and said, Justin, thanks for showing up. I'm going to prescribe you some medication for your foot. And you go, well, actually, doctor, I'm here because my arm hurts. See, that would be ridiculous for a doctor to try to give you a prescription unless they know what your ailment was. Prognosis without going through the needs analysis would be malpractice. Yet so many times I've seen people sit down with a potential recruit and they just want to start fire hosing KW. In my experience, it's all about building a relationship first. You might sit down and do a business collaboration. You might do the needs analysis. You may need to sit down with them again and walk them through the economic model, maybe even a GPS using the database. Maybe you need to invite them to a training. Maybe you need to invite them to an event. Maybe you just have to keep building the relationship. I've had individuals, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but throughout my tenure as a team leader, I've recruited about 8 different independent brokers over the years, right? My smallest one was, 4-person indie, 10, 15. My largest was a 38-person business center. And every single one of them was different. However, the one thing they all had in common is it always starts with a relationship. And I don't talk about joining KW until the time is right, unless the time is right. Sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, come to a training, come to an event. Let me invite you to the country's largest real estate conference in Las Vegas this February. Building relationship. Now, when the time is right, you're going to go ahead and share your market center value proposition and what partnering with the market center may look like for them. And again, I'm going to give you some samples here in a moment, but here's some best practices. You want to make sure that you're presenting to the decision makers first. You go sit down, you go through your value proposition, you answer any questions they may have. This is the most important thing. Whatever you do, do not let them present to their people. And very simply, you're going to say, Justin, listen, I know I just gave you a lot of information in the short amount of time. And it would be unrealistic for me to think that you can take everything I shared with you and you can share it with your people in the same manner. And we both know you only get one chance to make a first impression. So I have a huge favor to ask. Would you allow me the opportunity to share this with your people? And when I do, I'm going to edify you and I'm going to talk about why you're even considering this, because it's all about them. That way, they don't go back and say, hey, guys, guess what? We're changing models. We're joining this company. Here's our cap. Here's our split. Let's do it. A lot of them are going to say, pump the brakes. By the way, I've had an independent broker who at the time had about 20 different agents commit to joining me. I did not tell him to don't share it. He went back and shared it, and they all pushed the brakes on him. And he did not join after all because he presented it. It was not shared in the way that I wish it was shared, and it prevented him from partnering with us. I'm still in relationship with him today. He's grown his brokerage from 20 agents up to almost 60 agents. We're still in relationship, but now this is literally 5 years later, right? So if nothing else, this is probably one of the most important things. Whatever you do, make sure that they do not go back and share the information, that you're the one to do it. Schedule a time to come present to their people. Either go to their office or schedule a neutral location. When you do get in front of them, make sure you have a formal presentation prepared, right? Your value proposition. Now, I'm going to give you some examples, and I understand that many of us have our own value propositions. Again, this is just walking you through the process, but it's super important that you have some type of visual aid, right? Because we know people learn through audio, visual, and kinesthetic. So when you're talking to them and you're showing them visual aid, they're actually retaining at a higher level. Now, if possible, this is also a great keynote. When you go meet them and present to their agents, you take your entire leadership team with you. If you're a smaller office, maybe it's just you, the MCA, and your director of first impressions. If you're a larger market center, maybe you have 5 or 6 different people, take everybody there with you, because then after you present, then each person can go up and share how they impact and can help the agents with their day-to-day business. That's very powerful. And if applicable, remember, pending ownership, leadership approval, have your offer letter ready, have your MOFR, maybe you have some type of incentive to get started, but make sure, just ensure that you come prepared. Here's a quick example of a visual aid that I use. Again, this is just for, demonstration purposes only, but you can take screenshots, maybe you have your own, but it talks a little bit about Keller Williams, right? We're by agents for agents, right? We know there's different business models out there. There's some companies that may charge a high office fee, whether they close a deal or not. There's some companies out there that may just charge a transaction fee. And there are people having success at both different models. But for everybody else is where we come into play, because we give our agents the best of both worlds, right? A fair, the tools, the resources of the #1 company in the world, and we give them a fair and balanced compensation plan, right? We talk a little bit about how we're agent-centric. I go through our mission, our values, and our belief system, and I actually talk about the importance of why we want to partner with agents who want to build big businesses, what our values as a company is. And I literally go through each one of our Y4C2Ts in detail, and I talk about it on an individual. And again, because this is a short Zoom, for the sake of time, I'm just giving you a high-level overview. If you have questions or you want to see how it's done, I actually have a formal presentation that I've recorded. I could send this to you guys if you'd like to see a live presentation, but I go through it in detail of really what our belief system is as well. I talk about how we know we're a great company for new agents, experienced agents. We're also a great company for top producing agents. Many of you know Mike, #1 agent for Berkshire Hathaway, recently joined Keller Williams and has built a big career. I talk a little bit about how technology has changed our world. Our industry is no exception, and how we have Command, that's a one-stop shop that allows us to optimize and manage your business from your iPad, your phone, your computer, your laptop, right? Again, I have some agent testimonials kind of peppered in there. I talked a little bit about our mobile app, right? Most people are using, some of the big websites or that they go to, but there's agents who are paying those other companies thousands of dollars a month to get leads. So when our clients are going to those websites or our apps and clicking on houses, sometimes they're going to get calls from agents that are going to try to steal them from you. So it's important that you have an agent branded app that only you are on. Talk a little bit about training, KW Connect, right? All the resources that we have. Again, more testimonials from top agents. By the way, I've seen people create these, but they use people within your local. Maybe you have top agents in your office. Maybe you have top agents in your region. If not, you can use the national examples as well, right? Talk a little bit about the ALC, how they help make all of the decisions related to the market center jointly with leadership. Share with you how we built a comprehensive framework. We're team-centric, right? How we're dedicated to providing services not only today, well into the future. Remember, you have your leadership team with you. Maybe you have your entire leadership team there, and you talk a little bit about them, and this is where they could come up and talk about what they do and how they support people at a high level. Now, that's when you go through it. This is some sample economic models when partnering with indies that you could potentially do. And again, I have to stress, pending OP approval, pending leadership approval, pending RD. There is no one way to do it. These are a couple of different methods that I've seen and I've used personally. I've seen other market centers implement something similar to this. So there's a couple of different models. Now, if an independent partner has their own location, their own office, there's 3 different models that you could do. Number 1, it's very simple. If they have their own expenses, they partner with your office based on whatever your cap is, and they're going to get 2/3 of the company dollar is going to go to them. 1/3 of the company dollar is going to come to you as the host market center, and the independent partner pays their own expenses. 2/3, 1/3, right? So hypothetically, if there was a $15,000 cap excluding royalty, if there was a $15,000 cap, the indie partner would receive 2/3 of that, so up to $10,000, and then the host market center would receive 1/3 of that, up to $5,000 on any individual agent in there. The independent pays their own expenses. The second model is you split it 50-50 down the middle, and the expenses are split 50-50 between the host market center and the independent partner. The third option is 1/3 of the company dollar goes to the indie partner, 2/3 come to the host market center, but then the host market center would be responsible for covering those expenses. And I've literally seen every one of those scenarios play out because everybody has different situations in their life on what may or may not be the best opportunity for them. So all 3 of those are viable options. Now, if an independent brokerage, maybe they're getting rid of their location, they don't have a location, maybe it's a team, well, then you just bring them in at your regular split and you can give them a team cap or an indie cap. Now, here's one thing I want to note. You have to determine the amount of units that indie team is going to do to make sure that, you know, it's not going to put stress on your current operations, right? I've seen where somebody may come in and they give them a team cap, so it sounds really good to that team, but that team is doing a large amount of units, and the market center literally needs to hire another person because there's so much production going through. And that actually could potentially hurt you if you're not looking down the road based on their production, right? Because let's say a team comes in and they say, hey, we're doing 1,000 units a year just as a team, and you're going to give them a team cap. Well, does your current system, does your current ecosystem, does your current leadership team, everyone, do you have enough people in place to manage that, right? And if the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, you have to make sure you're leading with revenue. That's why you always have to speak to your OP and weigh all those different options as well. Transition plan. The number one concern for an individual making a switch, and it doesn't matter if they're an individual agent, a capper, or especially if it's a team or brokerage, is how is this going to happen, right? Now, the great thing is we do have systems and models. So one thing that I found is we literally created what we call a transition plan. And again, here's an example of mine. I'm happy to share it if you guys want. I'll give you my information at the end. You can shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. But the transition plan is very simple. It walks them through how we're going to transition them. And we have to reassure them to say, we specialize in partnering with brokerages just like yours. And our goal is to make this as stress-free and seamless as possible, that we have a system in place to help ensure a smooth transition, right? Maybe you help them update their marketing profiles, right? You can help them with their database. Again, these are hypothetical things that we do. You have to see if your market center, your region has these things to support it, put it together. But we'll help them import their database from their current CRM into Command if that's something they're wanting to do. We're going to help understanding their marketing and branding with us personally. We actually will help maybe cover some of the costs or help them get set up with their marketing and branding. Maybe it's creating auto signatures, ordering signs, whatever it takes, right? In some cases, we negotiate where we're going to provide them. We help them get set up on some smart campaigns in Command. Our office, our market center tech trainer is able to assist with this. I have the Zoom screen over my thing, so I couldn't see it. We walk them through how we're going to train them or their admins on Command so they can understand compliance. We're going to make sure that they have systems around their seller and buyer checklists. We'll actually help them create their websites. We'll make sure that they know how to fully utilize their mobile app. Make sure they know how to utilize Command. And then getting started, we're going to transfer their license. We're going to update the contract software. We're going to transfer any listings into local MLS. And then here is where we would write in whatever our MOFR was or whatever it was that maybe you pre-negotiated with the broker owner or the team rainmaker on what you were going to offer that team, right? This is where we would handwrite the MOFRs in. But basically, we come with the transition plan. We cover all the things we're going to do, and then we write in anything we need to do to be able to offer them a MOFR to get started. Then, you know, obviously, we have a confidentiality clause as well. So now we got them. We found the list. We were able to reach out to them, build a relationship. When the time was right, we presented to the decision makers. When the time was right, we presented to the team. We had the whole leadership team there. We walked them through the transition plan. You get a yes. Now, these are some onboarding best practices. Now, we've all onboarded people. You guys all have your checklist. But the number one thing to do, especially if it's a larger team, is to set realistic timelines, right? What that means is you're going to say, hey, we're going to start doing this, and it might take 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on how big they are. But it's important that you give them realistic timelines, and then you run your normal onboarding process. One thing that we've done, especially when we onboarded that 38-person company, we had to create a spreadsheet. We had all of the agents. We were able to track where they were in the onboarding process, right? If you are doing a large organization, you're going to have to do it in batches. And here's the one thing that we learned from experience. Make sure you designate one point person to send all the communication. because if they're receiving emails from multiple people in your office, it can be confusing. So one thing that we've done now is we actually give them like, hey, we're going to send an introductory email. We're going to introduce who the point of contact is. We're going to explain they're going to receive this many emails. This is who they reach out to if they have questions. And it's coming from one person. That way we can track it. And if they have questions, they know who to reach out to. Here's my information. Feel free to take a screenshot. You can shoot me a text, email me, add me on Facebook. I'm happy to share those with you. And here's the thing, right? It's all going to be whatever is relevant. But what I want you guys to just kind of take away from this is there's really no right or wrong way to do it, right? It's about coming from contribution, building the relationship. What I will share with you is there are people right now that are wishing and hoping for an opportunity, and KW may be the answer for them. So if you are nervous about reaching out to indies, if it's something you've wanted to do, but maybe you haven't done at a high level, make that a goal of yours, right? I would encourage everybody here to download that list, put them on a list that you can start reaching out to. One thing I'll share with you that actually worked for me to just get in front of indies is I downloaded that list and I hosted a independent broker mastermind, and I held it at the local association of realtors. So imagine you download that list of all those indies. Let's say there's 5, 10, 20 people on that list. And then you shoot them out an email and you say, I want to offer an independent or an employing broker mastermind held at ABC Board of Realtors, right? It's a neutral location. They're more willing to show up. And then when you get there, you literally just host a mastermind, right? Just like a normal mastermind. What do you guys want to talk about? But because of that, you literally just put yourself in front of all them. They now know who you are. You let them mastermind. You brought value. That's going to put them on the radar. So again, there's so many ways to just, hey, my name is Justin. Would you like to join KW? It's just about getting in front of people, building relationships. I hope you guys got value out of today. If you have any questions or you want to follow up with me, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I want to thank you for attending today. I wish you and your family a happy holidays. Go out there and make magic happen. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye.